Hello Year 2. This week I am in charge of looking at our maths videos, and I thought I would kick our sessions off by looking at our Smash the Maths, so our arithmetic in particular. Now today we're going to be focused on the four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So whilst you're getting all your bits ready, your pencil and your paper that you're going to need, I'd like you to think of as many words as you can to represent those four different symbols. We've got addition, subtraction, multiplication and division.
So the first operation that we're going to look at is multiplication. So we could say for our first question, 3 multiplied by 5, or 3 lots of 5. So I'm going to write my question down first of all. So I'm making sure I've got my symbols there and I'm writing my numbers. So 3 times by 5. Now some of you may feel confident enough to count up in 5, so you could use your fingers to do this. But for others we may need to use our arrays. So we are saying that we have 3 5s. So I'm going to draw my row of 5 3 times. 5, 10, 15. And if I was counting that on my fingers, I'd say 5, 10, 15. 3 lots of 5 is 15. Now if you wanted to challenge yourself today, you might also think of the inverse of this operation, so the opposite. So the opposite of multiplication we know is division. Fantastic. So using these same 3 numbers, I can now say that 15 divided by 5 is 3. And I may want to show this in groups. So if I had 5 groups, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I share my 15 out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, making sure that the number in each of those groups is equal, I know that one of those groups has the value of 3. We've looked at multiplication. We've also thought about looking at our inverse as well. Now our next question from our pack is an addition. We've got 35 add 30 equals. So I have 2 two-digit numbers. I can write my 10s and my 1s and my 10s and my 1s if I wanted to as well. Now in Year 2 we have used many different methods to try and help us get to the right answer, and for you it's whatever works. So if I was using my vertical number line, at the bottom I would start off with this number. So I have 35 and I draw my number line up. You can use a ruler if you want to. I know that I need to add 3 10s. So I'm going to add 1 10. So 10 more than 35 is 45. I'm going to add another 10. 10 more than 45 is 55. Now if you're finding this quite difficult to do this in your head, you may want to have a look at using 100 square. And then 10 more, so 10, 20, 30, I'll have added 30 in total, takes me to 65. I know that 3 add 3 is 6, so 30 add 30 is 60. I have 5 ones. I do not have any ones I'm getting bigger by, so I know that my ones number is a 5. Now some of you I can see have started to use the column method, and this is something that we do look to move to in Year 2. So 5 add nothing, I've got 5 fingers, I'm adding no more, equals 5, and 30 add 30 is the same as 60, which brings us to my answer of 65. Now here I have the operation of addition, and the inverse of addition is subtraction. I'd like you to challenge yourself to see if you can write at least one related subtraction number sentence. Our next operation that we're going to look at is subtraction, but you're probably going to wonder why. So I have a missing number sentence here, and I've already been given the answer. It says 20 add 40 equals 90. Now this is a 2-part question. I need to find the missing number, but there are 2 things that I need to do. The first thing I need to do is to find out how much 20 add 40 equals. So I'm going to do that first of all. 20 add 40. That's my first step. Now here I can set that out how I showed you previously using my vertical number line, or I could also think about knowing that 2 add 4 is 6. I have my 0 in my ones column, which means I need to multiply that by 10 to get to my answer, would give me 60. So I can start to use some of the number facts that I know already. Now I said we were going to be looking at subtraction, and I've already just shown you an addition. You're probably thinking, Miss Conway, what's going on? But that's not the only thing I need to do. I know so far that the value of the 20 and the 40 is 60, but I now need to find out the number that would go here to make the answer 90. So I'm going to find the difference, and to do this I'm going to use subtraction. Now when I'm looking at the two numbers here, I need to think about, okay, what number do I need to subtract from, and what do we know about subtraction? Now if I was to take away 90 from 60, I know that here there are 3 more 10s than here, so I would go below 0 into negative numbers, and that's not what we want. So in my subtraction I'm starting with my biggest number, so 90. So here at the top I have 90, and I'm going to take away 6 10s. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. And each time I'm taking away equal amounts. Now, if this is something that you can do in your head, you might use your previous facts like before, knowing that 9 take away 6. What does that equal? And then multiplying that by 10. You may also find it helpful to count up from 60 to 90. So what is the difference between those two numbers? And I know 90 take away 10 is 80. 80 take away 10 is 70. 70 take away 10 is 60. 60 take away 10 is 50. 50 take away 10 is 40, and 40 take away 10 is 30. So therefore the difference between 60 and 90 is 30. So I can put my missing number in my spot, and I use subtraction. So for my next question, I'm not going to tell you what operation we're going to use. I'd like you to have a think about that as I write that down. Now this here is called a fraction, and this is something we've begun to look at in year 2, and this fraction is a half. Now if I'm looking to find a half of a number, that means I need to split it equally in 2. But this number is quite big, so I really need to think carefully about what my method is going to be. Now this is a divide. I am dividing this number, so remember my division symbol looks like this. I am dividing 40 by 2, which is the same as sharing 40 by 2. Now I could suggest that we draw 2 circles and we dot our 40 between it, but that sounds like it's going to take quite a long time, and I don't know how reliable that would be. But one thing I do know is that 40 is made up of 4 10s, and here I've represented this as my 10s Dean sticks. Now I could share my Dean sticks between 40 because of the type of number that it is. It's a 10s number, so that makes it quite easy to share between 2 equally. I can't use this method all of the time, however. So I could put 1 10 here and 1 10 here. So at the moment there is 10 in each. 1 10 here and 1 10 here. So one part, so I can look at my numerator here, one part out of my 2 is 20. Half of 40 is 20. And I can check that because remember I spoke earlier about the inverse. The inverse of division is multiplication. So if I said 20 times by 2, I know that would equal 40. And I can check that as well by drawing 20 2 times. 10, 20, 30, 40. So the next question I'm going to look at is 16 divided by 4, and I can do this by 2 ways. I can do this by grouping or by sharing, and I will show you both. Now our 4 times table is not something that we necessarily have looked at so much in year 2, but it's something we can definitely challenge ourselves to look at. And it's the same as finding a quarter of 16, because I'm dividing it by 4, and that's what this line here means. So if I had 4 groups and I shared my 16 out between it, I'd like you to give this a go as well. I'm making sure that my groups are equal. each one I'm following a pattern. I'm not jumping ahead to the next one. Oh, missed one out though, and I missed this one out. Goodness me. I can see that each group has an equal amount in it. There are 4 in each group. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now I can also do this by grouping. So if I drew 16, and I group them in 4s, I can see that there are 4 in each group. Now, therefore, I know a multiplication number sentence. 4 times by 4 is 16. Now I can say 4, 8, 12, 16. Last question for today is going to be an addition with more than 2 numbers. So here I have 6, add 8, add 12. Now sometimes this question can look quite overwhelming because I'm not always sure where to start. But the first thing I'm going to look at here is not always this number, but I'm going to start to see if there are any bonds that I recognise. Now I know that 8 add 12 is 20. That's something we've looked at both in year 1 and year 2. So I've made a relationship between these 2 numbers and I've added those together first. I now need to add my 6. And do you notice that I'm underlining those numbers as I go as well to remember that I've used them, because otherwise it can get really tricky. And now I need to add 6. So 20 add 6. Now you might want to count on from 20, so 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. You can count that way. Or you might want to draw your deans. I know some people feel really confident using this. Or you might want to use your hunch, and I need to make sure I write my answer here as well. So I know that 6 add 8 add 12 is 26. Now if you wanted to work through the number sentence this way, that's absolutely not a problem. You could work out what 6 add 8 equals and then equal your 12, but often it's good to see if there's anything that helps you basically. You do what works for you.